Hey, fifth grade. Our lesson today is going to be about things in our solar system other than planets that are orbiting our sun. So, we've been learning about all the different kinds of planets in our solar system. We have the inner planets, that are the four planets closest to the sun that have a rocky exterior and a solid core that we can see from our planet. Um, and they're the ones that are closest, and they're the ones that are the fastest going around the sun. And remember, a planet is something that has cleared the space around its orbit. So there's an open area around each planet that's empty because the planet has cleared out all of the space debris and junk that's come from the planet. The outer planets are the gas giants who have tons of swirling gases and don't really have a solid surface, even though they do have, we think that they have a core way down in the middle. But what else is out there? There's a lot more to space than just planets and stars. The first thing we want to learn is about asteroids. Asteroids are large chunks of rock that are basically flying through space. The technical science definition of it is a rocky mass up to several hundred kilometers wide that revolves around the sun. So it's not big enough to be classified as a planet, but it's still a really large chunk of rock. That is what an asteroid is. Can the Earth be hit by one of these things as they're flying around? It's possible. But most asteroids are flying into our solar system from outer space, and they get rerouted by the massive gravity of Jupiter, which is the biggest planet in our solar system. So Jupiter is kind of like the big shield that's blocking our planet from all the asteroids coming in from outer space. What else is there, though? So we've also got meteors, and meteors do hit the Earth. A meteor forms when a meteoroid actually contacts Earth, so when it actually hits planet Earth. A meteoroid is a small piece of rock flying through space. Usually these things are about the size of a boulder or something, so they're much smaller than an asteroid. And these things can hit Earth, although by the time they reach Earth's surface, they're never as large as when they first enter our atmosphere. The reason for that is that the atmosphere causes them to heat up and actually will burn away most of the meteor before it gets down to the planets. There's still some more things. Another thing that you might find or might see out in the night sky is a comet. We call these in the night sky shooting stars, even though they're really not stars at all. They're comets. A comet is like a frozen mass of different chunks of ice and debris and rock and dirt bits and stuff that's flying through space. In fact, comets are known for having these long tails that stream after them. Those tails are the dust and debris that has been swept off of the comet as it's flying through, like the wind coming off of the sun or glancing off of other asteroids and stuff. It leaves behind a trail of icy, melted stuff that comes off of the comet. These things barely ever hit Earth because they will almost always burn out before they hit the planet, which is why we call them shooting stars, because we see them flash across the night sky and then immediately disappear. So the last major thing is a dwarf planet. So you might have heard there's a bit of a controversy with Pluto. Pluto was considered a planet many years ago. Actually, fairly recently, as in the 2000s, I believe. But as scientists are studying things in outer space more, they realize that Pluto is such a small little thing that it's not actually big enough to be considered a real planet. It's what's known as a dwarf planet. Dwarf planets are simply planets that are too small to be considered real planets. They're large, round objects that orbit around the sun, but they haven't cleared a path for themselves in orbit because their gravity is not big enough to clear things away from them or to suck things into the planet and clear away for it to go. So there's still tons of rocks and things very, very close to the orbit of Pluto. And so scientists really don't consider it a real planet, even though we used to. And there's been a lot of going back and forth, like, well, is it a planet? No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. And so people are really confused about what's going on with Pluto. But Pluto is officially a dwarf planet. The only other things that you might find is moons. And as you've learned, we have a moon, but we're not the only planet that has a moon in our solar system. There are several other planets that have moons orbiting them. And we think that we might even be able to settle on some of those moons far into the future. So that really covers basically everything in this last lesson of our chapter. So now you have a lab to do and a final sort of wrap up words to know page and a worksheet or something like that. And then we're going to actually start reviewing for our test already, which is crazy. We also will have a project to do before we do that. So I will see you next time.